Clear prop. Yeah. So that was my horrible attempt at mimicking the audio of this clip. Because I didn't get any audio. And also, if you didn't notice, I have been taking flight lessons. Yeah. I know this kind of doesn't fit the theme of the channel, but I wanted to document it anyway, I guess, and post it. So people kind of know why I haven't been uploading for a while. So yeah, this is my first solo flight. We're just doing our checks now, going through the checklist, doing our run up and stuff like that. It's kind of funny because on the day of my solo flight, I didn't actually know I was going up. I thought we were just doing like some more practice, and then I was going to go up some other day and then do my solo flight. But my instructor kind of surprised me when we got on the ground, and yeah, I was, to be honest, I was kind of nervous. But here we go. We're already lined up for the runway. I'm just going to kind of go through what's happening. So right now we're checking that the runway's clear and correct. So right now I think we're using runway 24 at Brentford Airport. And then we're just looking to keep the center line, look for 55 knots. And then we'll rotate just like that. And we're off the ground. So this actually isn't my solo flight. This is kind of a review. Like I said, I didn't know I was going to do my solo flight that day, but this is the review that we did beforehand to make sure I was still, able to fly the plane fine. So right now my instructor's not on the controls at all. This is all me. And right about there, we're 200 feet above the ground, so you can kind of see that I'm reaching down to flip the flaps up. Excuse me. And I just cut out some of the footage because I want to keep it short. So this is us turning onto our downwind leg, which is kind of parallel to the runway. You can see on the right side of the screen there. So we're just kind of going back down to the other end of the runway so we can land. And on the downwind as well, you might see here in the clip that we're going through a checklist. So we have to check that. This is a fuel-injected plane, so you don't have to check that the primer's in and locked. Yeah, some of this stuff, it might not make sense, but it's just a checklist to make sure that, the airplane's okay to land. So we check that the starter's still, the key's still in the plane, kind of, and then the master switch is still on, the fuel valve is still on, so the engine's getting fuel, and some other things that are, take a while to explain, but yeah. And I'm confirming on the checklist that I've gone through the checklist because it's easier to have it memorized because it's kind of like a flow from the left to the right side of the airplane. So it's easy to memorize, but it's good to check the checklist to make sure you've completed all the items that are on there and successfully done all that. So right now I'm still just looking down, making sure I'm parallel with the runway and keeping my altitude at the same level because you want to be 1,000 feet above the ground when you're circling the airport when you want to land. And this is us on final now. I'm sorry there's no audio for these clips. I couldn't get it set up, and when I was setting up the camera, I realized it would just be engine noise the whole time, so I'm like, nah, I'm not gonna record audio. It's not worth it. So here's the touchdown. Boom. That was a pretty smooth landing. Not my best, but it was still pretty good. And then we're reconfiguring the airplane. We're putting the flaps up, making sure that the trim is set to take off. There's a certain setting for the trim so that you don't like nosedive into the ground as soon as you take off. And we're also making sure other things like we're reconfiguring the engine and checking that our power is set at the right RPM. But that's so that was our first flight of the day. We had a couple more landings, but then my instructor asked me if I was okay to take my solo flight, and I said yes. And I was surprised because, like I said, I didn't think I would be taking it that day, but I said yes, I am ready. And although I was confident, I was very excited, and my leg was shaking quite aggressively because of how excited I was. But you can see there, he's walked out of the airplane. And I waved to my parents there. You might be able to see them on the lawn chairs. And then I skipped all the checks that I did, but I did do my my tilt checks and all that. So there we go. I am right now at this moment. I am officially in the plane alone for the first time off the ground. It's kind of a scary feeling, but at the same time, as soon as you're in the air, you're kind of like, okay, I got to get this plane on the ground now, and you just kind of do it. You got to lock in. So right there, we're flying the same circuit. As you can see the runway off to the right side of the screen. It's on my left, but you can see it on the right side of the screen there. Roll wings level for our downwind. And then we do our checks here. I like to talk to myself a lot while I'm flying alone. I guess that's just how I think better. But right there, I'm doing my checks. And part of those checks is that you check that your seatbelt's still attached. So I should, grab my seatbelt there. Make sure it's still secure, I guess. And also check the brakes to make sure they still have pressure in them. So yeah, that's the downwind checks for you there. Now it looks like we're turning on to... I think this is final. I don't know. I've cut a lot of it out, so it's interesting. I don't know what that hand motion was there. Yeah, so this is the base leg of the circuit, which is basically just flying. It's the kind of like where you fly before you go on final. And here you can see we're turning final. And we've got our flaps out. I think I did 30 degrees of flaps. On this aircraft, you can have 10 degrees, 20 degrees, or 30 degrees. I think I had 30 degrees on this landing. You can see there, that's me going flaps fully down, I think 30 degrees. And I'm still talking to myself here. I'm talking to myself quite a lot. And I flashed my hand up there to show you how far above the ground I am, because I don't have audio. So that's 500 feet above the ground. 400. It looks so goofy doing this. And that's me slipping the aircraft to slow it down, kind of like turning sideways a bit to create more drag to slow down. And now this looks like 200 feet. And I'm gonna show 100 in a second here. That's about 100. Yeah, 100 feet. And then we're just coming above the runway now. And here's the landing. Yeah, to be honest, like looking at the film, you can't even tell that I touched down. That is how good this landing was, which I'm very proud of. And then, yeah, I guess we just taxi off the runway. The first solo flight, you only do one circuit. Just because, you want to review, make sure you didn't build any bad habits while you're up there doing more than one circuit, I guess. So we only did one circuit that day. We're taxiing off the runway here. Want to avoid that other plane. Usually we turn off where that plane's kind of going on, but I wanted to avoid him, so I took the other taxiway off the runway so I could not get in his way. And then just coming up here, we're going to cross the hold short line. And just like that, I have completed my first solo flight. Since then, I've done some more flights solo and with instructors. But yeah, let me know if you guys want to see more content like this in the future. I'm definitely going to post some more, whether you like it or not. But I hope to get back to my other content soon.